So you think you know Microsoft 365? Well, think again. In this video, I've got a collection of hidden, super cool features for both users and admins that will just blow you away. Stay tuned. This is a good one. Hi everyone, great to see you. Andy Malone, Microsoft MVP. Before we go any further, I want to just take this opportunity to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that 2025 is absolutely amazing for you. I really appreciate your support this year, and I'm almost at 147,000 subscribers, which is just incredible. And I've got to take my hat off to you, and as well as those nice people that support me on Patreon as well. So a big thumbs up to you all, and thanks so much. Okay, now in this episode, I thought I'd take a look at those kind of hidden features within Microsoft 365 for both users and also applications as well. So I kind of put together a little collection of kind of super cool tips, and you go, whoa, I didn't know that was there. And I think you'll really appreciate it, and it will make a big difference to you and your productivity. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, as always, bump the subscribe button, come and join. I'm trying to build out an amazing learning community here, and it's packed with training videos on everything to do with Microsoft 365, Azure, security, compliance, and all the associated applications. So if you're looking for a definitive source on all things Microsoft 365, then this really is the place to come. Okay, now if you've got questions and comments, as always, get those down below and I will do my very best to answer them for you. And just a quick mention that today's episode is sponsored by RoboPack, the definitive software packaging tool, which is absolutely amazing, and a little bit more on them later on. Okay, so I think without any further ado, let's jump in and take a look at these super cool and hidden features that I bet you never knew were even there. Enjoy. Okay, so first up, I'm here in Microsoft Word. Now, this is Microsoft Word for the Mac. Whether you're using the Mac, the Windows version, or the online version, they're all pretty much the same, to be honest. Now, you can see here, I'm an author, of course, and you can see that I've got a section of my book here, The Seventh Day, and just some of the really cool little hidden features and little kind of tools that really make my life as an author a lot easier. You can see over on the right-hand side here, we have the editor feature. So I can quickly just say, hey, can you evaluate this? So you can see the editor score is 91%, which is pretty good for me. And you can see my spelling. It's picked up a couple of spelling. It shows me my grammar, and also the consciousness is correctly put in here. Now, if I did want to check these spellings, I can just simply click on this and instantly it goes into the spelling, and you can see it's a name here. It's actually an Icelandic name. So I'm going to say, no, that's fine. I'm going to ignore that. So the other feature that I just want to mention, I'm going to come down to a new page here, is the dictation button. Again, it's amazing how many people don't know about this. And as you can see, the microphone is on and it's pretty much picking up everything that I do. And in terms of kind of dictation, it's a particularly good tool. Sometimes it needs a little bit of training, of course, but as you can see, it's pretty good. We also have an option here. I'll just switch that off. You've also got the settings option here. So you can input, you can configure which microphone you want to use. You can also enable automatic punctuation, and this can be really useful. So if I come down to the next paragraph and again switch on the dictation here. So Tom, I wanted to mention that our meeting is scheduled for Monday, the 3rd of January, and I would appreciate an appointment in your schedule. So as you saw there, once I'd finished the dictation, it went ahead and corrected it in terms of spellings, the correct syntax, full stops, and so on. So that correction setting, which was in the gear icon here, enable auto punctuation. So it's amazing how many little hidden things are in Microsoft Word. So just for example, if I go ahead here and just select a random paragraph, and if I right click, one of the great features that we now have is the Translate feature. And this opens up another window, and you can see it detects you can either do the selection of what you've selected, or of course it can be the entire document. So I can simply say, hey, I want it to come from English, and you can see it's auto-detected the English there, and I can then choose the appropriate language. In this case, as you know, I work a lot in Norway. I'm going to choose that. And you can see instantly it basically goes through that and translates it for me. And of course, I can then say, hey, I want to insert that, and this section has now been changed into Norwegian. How cool is that? Now, another super cool feature is, I find as an author really super useful. If you come down into references here, there is an option here that says researcher. So if you're doing some historical research or some studying, you might think, oh my gosh, I need to have Copilot or I need to have ChatGPT. Not at all. This is connected to the web, and it's absolutely fantastic if you want to do research. So for example, you might be doing a document on NASA. So I'm going to type in Neil Armstrong, and off it goes, and it will do some research on Neil Armstrong. So not only will I give you, it will search historical records. I can come in and have a look at his career. I can download photos if I want to see a picture of him, and I can go in and I can get generally more details. And it really saves you kind of opening and closing different windows. I really love this feature. So definitely check this out. This is the researcher feature. Now, of course, one of the great things about working in Microsoft Word is that Microsoft Word is part of Microsoft Office, and a lot of the elements are shared throughout the different applications. So, for example, you can use one feature in Word and it's available in PowerPoint, it's available in SharePoint, and so on. An example of this can be found if you go to the Insert menu, and one of the things I love is the ability now to bring in 3D models. And these can be both animated or static. So for example, I simply come to the area where I'd like to insert the object and click on animated objects here, and you can see that we have a number of different objects. I particularly like the dinosaur, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to insert him, and you can see just takes a moment and I've now got an animated dinosaur in here. So again, I can make this a little bit bigger. You can treat it just like any normal object. And of course, I can now select the object and you can change the angle. It is absolutely fantastic. It really is. So definitely check this out. This is the animated objects, which can be found in the Insert menu. How cool. Just before we continue, a quick word from today's sponsor, RoboPack. Today's video is sponsored by RoboPack, the trend-setting solution for Intune packaging and third-party patch management, and it's free for SMBs and NGOs. Visit them today at robopack.com. Now, PowerPoint is an application that's really coming a long way, both the rich version, i.e. the version that you would install as part of Microsoft Office on your laptop, but also the online version as well. And it's interesting that both of those applications, there are elements that don't work online, but there are elements that don't work on premises as well. But one of the features that I really love, and just simple little things that you could easily miss, if I come down to a blank page here, we now have the ability to come into the Insert menu, and as well as all the other things that I mentioned earlier, so you can take a screenshot of the PowerPoint presentation as well as the window, for example, the browser window that you've got open. But we also have this feature as well. It's called screen clipping. And this is great if you're, for example, designing a manual, a training manual, and you want to, let's say, take a portion of the screen or an element of the screen. So in this case, I'm taking a copy of the toolbar and I want to insert it into my current slide. Well, previously you would have had to cut, copy, paste, and perhaps even save this as a PNG file and then reinsert it, which is really time consuming. But now with a single click, boom, it's in. How cool is that? And that just saves so much time. And it doesn't stop there either. So I can come back to that insert menu, and there are super cool things that you can insert into presentations. The Cameo feature is awesome, especially for, let's say, the first slide in a deck. So I can come in here and I can choose, let's say, a particular shape here. And as you can see, I now get the shape menu. And the cool thing about this feature is it's also available in the online version as well. Again, simply go into the insert menu here, go into Cameo. The only difference here is you don't get a preview depending on your browser, of course. But of course, as soon as you go into the presentation view, it's now available. So I love the preview feature. It's awesome. And of course, you can come in here and you can then customize that. You can change the shape. You can layer shapes, because essentially it is just a shape, of course. But for presentations, it just makes things a little more personable, and definitely one to add. Now, one of my favorite features of Microsoft PowerPoint can be found up here on the menu, and this is the designer option. So you can see here, we've got a nice kind of slide deck here. It's not the most exciting, but I can jazz it up a little bit. So by simply clicking the designer option, I now get some really cool kind of design options, and you can see it even puts graphics in for me. And I just absolutely love this feature. I think this is so awesome. And of course, you can then go down to obviously every single slide. And you can see here, there's a slide here. It doesn't quite look right, but just with a single click, you can instantly make it look so much more appealing. So I love the designer menu. Now, I did mention as well that there are certain features in PowerPoint Online that are not available with the on-premises version. And these can be found here in the slide menu or the slideshow menu. So by coming up here, now available in all products is the availability to, of course, present in Teams. So this you can just directly present to a Microsoft team. The other thing that we also have, of course, in both versions are the subtitle versions, and I love this. So that again, you can simply choose the speaker language, which is English here, and you can choose your subtitle language. So, for example, if I chose French as my subtitle language, and I can then say always use live subtitles, and then just go into presentation view. Now, as you can see, a moment takes place, and now you can see that the French subtitles now come in. How cool is that? This is great if you're presenting perhaps to a multilingual audience, or in a college or a school or a university. And of course, you can put English subtitles on here as well. Now, it might not get it absolutely right, but as you can see, it's pretty cool. So that's the subtitle feature, which is available on both online and in the cloud feature. Another feature is the Rehearse with Coach feature. So if you're a little shy about doing presentations, you can do the Rehearse with a Coach. And basically you can do a little presentation, and it will evaluate you and show you tips and tricks on what you can do to make your presentation better. I love that feature. So one feature which isn't available in the on-premises version, but only the online version in the slideshow is this. This is Present Live. I love this. So you can choose to present only to people within your organization, or simply anyone. So I'm going to choose anyone, and I'm now ready to present live. And again, what we're offered here now is a little QR code. So we simply open up the QR code, and it takes us to a presentation website. And as you can see, what I'm now saying is now included in the presentation. So I'm going to show my slides, and as you can see, the user can then see the presentation, which is super cool, actually. Now, if you're using different languages, then you could have an audience of 30 people with 30 different languages, and that would be appearing at the bottom there. So I love PowerPoint Live. It's a great feature. So when the PowerPoint presentation is finished, of course, I can simply just say, I want to end the session. And yes, the session is ended. And the user who is then viewing that presentation can then, of course, choose to evaluate that presentation. Super cool. And what a great feature that is. So it amazes me, how many people don't use Microsoft Forms. It's an awesome, powerful tool. You can find it by going into the menu, and if you don't see it in your list of applications, simply go into More Apps, and in here you can see we have Microsoft Forms, and if you click on the little ellipse, you can pin it, so that means that it will always be available in your application tab, as you can see. So Microsoft Forms is absolutely brilliant, and it's just gone through a major upgrade. So within here you can see that we have obviously a number of forms that I've created previously, but you can also create forms from a whole range of different templates. So as a very simple example here, you can see that I've got a sales report here, and this is a form. It could be a quiz. And when you design the form, you can drag and you can move different categories. I can also select the form. How do I want to score it? You can have multiple different types of scoring systems here as well. I can come back up here into settings, and I can control who I wish to be able to answer the form. So is this simply for anyone within my organization, only people within the organization, or only specific people? You can collect specific responses. You can open and close the form you can also open the form to be only available on specific date times as well. You can shuffle the questions. So for example, if you're creating practice exams and things like that, you can also show a progress bar, which some people really like that. Again, you can also hide the submit another response. So you've got all of these different options here. The other thing that you've got is you've also got the templates menu, as I said here. So at any point during the creation process, you can choose one of these awesome templates, and you can see this is the one that we have. But again, I can say, yep, I want to create this, but I want to generate it on a new template. So you can see we've now completely changed the template here. I love this feature. And of course, there are many different types of templates, from education to retail and so on. So you can also customize any of the styles as well. So if you want to change any of the styles, you can go ahead and you can do that. So again, I can simply choose an element and change that element around. So nice and so flexible to use. We can also collect responses. So how do I want to collect responses? Do I want to record the user's name, for example? Do I want to only allow one response per person? Again, you've got things like, how do you want to change the layout? You can also customize it. You can shorten the URL. You can also copy the link. You can create a QR code as well. And do remember that users can view these forms both on a mobile device as well as online as well. So I love this. Again, how do you want to collect the form detail? Do you want to make it available in Teams or in Microsoft Outlook? And again, this is great that Microsoft have enabled this. Of course, one of the cool things that I love is you might, for example, have a student learning survey, as you can see here. And with that student learning survey, you might want to present it and go through the answers with your students. So now up here on the top right, we even have a present menu. So I can present this to my students and I can say, hey, this is the correct answers, or this is the wrong answers, and so on. I love this. Okay, so this again is such a nice feature. Now, again, you can change the questions at any time. I can simply click into this, and you can see here, you can choose if it was an exam question, for example, you could say, I want to insert a link, a graphic, and if it's a quiz, this one is just a questionnaire, but if it's a quiz, you can indicate which answer is the correct answer. So once you've finished editing and once you're happy with everything, of course, again, I can even go back into the preview page, and you can preview it either on a computer like so, or you can also preview it on a mobile device. So I want to see what it actually would look like from my mobile device. So again, a really super nice feature. So very quickly, Microsoft Forms, if it's an app that you're not using, definitely check it out. And let's face it, you're paying for it. Now, of course, those little nuggets are not just for users. So I can come in here into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And if I come into settings and go into organizational settings, there are some super crucial settings in here that you really need to know about. So if I scroll down here, one of the options that we have, of course, we have lots of different settings here, but you've also got, this is kind of new and it's super important for admins, is self-service trials and purchases. So in here, you can see allow self-service settings for all of your users so they can take out a trial. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want my users taking out expensive trials. So you can switch these off, or you can say only allow the trials only, or simply do not allow. So again, very important for a tenant administrator that you manage and control this. So self-service trials and purchases, super important there. And in addition, definitely one that could cause you a lot of pain and definitely empty your bank account is the Microsoft 365 Copilot trial. So in here, you can see there is no trial. So it's simply allow or it's do not allow. So again, you might want to switch that off for your users. Okay. So again, very important. And finally, I've talked about this before many times, but just in the organizational settings here, one of the options that you definitely want to take a look at is just down here, we have the Microsoft 365 Lighthouse. Now, many subscribers on my channel are MSPs, Microsoft Service Providers, and this is a fantastic free tool that you can use to manage all of your tenants. The only difference is to your portal is it simply just adds tenants here on the top left hand side. So you've got tenants, and then basically you can manage all aspects of your users. So once they've given you permission, of course, but you need to have that MSP account, and it's absolutely free, by the way, and I love that. That's such a cool feature. Then finally, if I come into the searching and privacy, or security and privacy here, there are again a couple of other things in here you definitely want to take a look at. So things like the customer lockbox feature, which is available only with an E5. Again, just a simple click will prevent any Microsoft employee from just randomly accessing your data when you call up support. So basically, when you call up Microsoft support from now on, what happens is there a request to access your tenant goes into the lockbox system. Their manager needs to give access approval, as well as you need to give access approval as well. And now within Microsoft, the admin roles, there is a role called the lockbox approver, and you can add your users to that who you wish to be able to give that approval. And finally, in the organizational profile, something that could really kind of be useful on one hand, but a potential hacking nightmare on another hand, is down here, send email notifications from your domain. So again, you can see that this feature is off, but essentially this is an NDR, a non-delivery report. So for example, if somebody's trying to get a hold of a user in your organization, and that user is not available or has been deleted or left the company, it will send a non-delivery report saying that, that user is gone. Now, the problem with that is, from a hacking perspective, hackers will then know, I've got a live one here. They know that it's got the right tenant or the right email server. And again, they could potentially take advantage of that. But again, on one hand, it's super useful, but on the other hand, you've got to think about it carefully. So there you have it. What an awesome collection of goodies there for you, eh? Hey, listen, I really appreciate you dropping by. If you enjoyed the video, give me a big thumbs up. It does help the channel. And if you've got questions and comments, as always, get those down below. Just a quick mention, today's sponsor was robopack.com. Thanks so much for them. Details about them down below as well. Okay, have a fantastic festive season, and I'll see you soon. All the best. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.